Okay, hang on. Can you hear me now? Okay, hang on. Check in. Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna do the intro and then I'll come back and see if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. So, oh, you can hear me. All right, cool. Hey, it's not me if there's no troubleshooting, correct? All right, so tonight's gonna be fun, I think. I hope, and it's pretty simple. All right. Boom! Let's do this. All right. Boy, I started out slow today. Okay, so today, I don't think I have these pictures on here, but we're going to make these cute little things called, I think they're Mallow Mummies is what they call them now. Marshmallow Mummies. Look how cute they are. So I haven't made them ahead of time, so I have no idea if it's going to work. And I was thinking about telling the story of the Telltale Heart. If you haven't heard that before. So of course I always have to do it way up here because I don't have a studio or anything cool, behind me here. That so you get to look at this awesome view. So we'll see. Okay. All right. So they are called mummy mallows, and this is what you need. Okay. So you're gonna need the jet puffed marshmallows, and you're gonna need a bowl, and you're gonna need. They called for almond bark stuff, but I couldn't find it, so I got these vanilla candy coating things, and they just come in these squares, and then it says it's now tell me if I'm right, 24 ounces, and you have to have a cup in order to make it for like 6 marshmallows. So I think I need 4, and then they look like this big, and then you have to like cut them, uh, finely chop them. It says, which I didn't realize. So it's pretty easy to do, especially if you don't have them in the refrigerator first. You're not going to see these little guys until maybe I get to tell you the story of the Telltale Heart. Is there anybody out there that doesn't know about the Telltale Heart? Edgar Allen Poe is one of my favorite authors, poets, whatever. I was obsessed with him when I was like a kid, like I don't know, 13. I was talking with a friend, and I was thinking, what can we talk about? Katy, Halloween's coming up, and yada yada. And then we were talking about, Munsters versus Addams Family. Did you guys watch that stuff? And then old movies and stuff. So is anybody on here that used to watch, whether it's now or later, you can tell me, ever watched Elvira? Those cheesy B movies like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? I should have got some clips for it, but like look at how much chocolate this actually makes. I'm not going to need this much because I really don't want to eat all this. So I suppose this is going to be good enough. I probably don't have to do 4 of them. You're going to have to see me disappear for a minute because it says 2. These are the directions. I printed them out. That's how easy this is, okay? It is. You want 6 puffed stacker marshmallows, these guys. 1 cup of almond bark or candy melts, and that's what these are. 12 candy eyes and 6 Halloween straws. Now, I bought these straws, and they're just plain white, and I didn't have them. My sister had all these cool ones, like in the picture. So you can just pick and choose. And I didn't have any candy eyes, so I'm going to use these tiny little chocolate thingy bots. You know me. And then Erin, my sister, gave me some googly eyes just so I can put them on there, just to show you how they look. So they tell you to have, all right, so place the almond bark in the bowl, and then we microwave for 30 seconds at a time. So I'm going to microwave for 30 seconds, talk to you about Edgar Allan Poe and that kind of stuff. And hopefully this doesn't, like I said, no studio, so you can't follow me over there. And so we're supposed to put marshmallows on the straws and lay them on a piece of wax or parchment paper. So, okay, straws, marshmallows give me the creeps the way they feel. So anyway, you just push them on there, okay? And I've got this reusable parchment paper kind of thing. It's like a silicone pad, so it's kind of cool. So I'll actually put it here so you can see it, okay? So the best part about these is that I don't plan ahead of time. So if it's a disaster, it's a disaster. It is what it is. So I'm gonna use, I think I'll do 4 because I only heated up a little bit of, oh, you know what else you need? You need this, you need like a baggie, because once you melt the stuff, oh shoot. It says also to do this. You can put it on a little cooling rack, and that way you can, boy, these are smaller than they look in the pictures, aren't they? That way, you know, when you drizzle the stuff over it, it should work, okay? So, uh-oh, this might take longer than I think. All right, so it's not melted yet, but it's a little bit melted. All right. So we go 30 seconds at a time. And I suppose the reason why they do that is so that, you know, you don't burn it too much or it, you know, comes out pretty gross or whatever. So once it's all melted, we're going to put it in this baggie. We're going to cut a corner off like they do in the cool cooking shows. And we're going to over the marshmallows, okay? And then it's going to look like, hopefully it's going to look like this, like I showed you. Wait, I don't need my, I can't, okay, like reading glasses, I can't see far away. Hopefully they're like, look how cute these are. This is ridiculous. Hopefully they're gonna look like that, okay? We'll see. Not ready yet. Almost though, I think. One more 30-second thing, I think, and we're good to go. Okay. So if you guys don't know who Edgar Allan Poe is, that's probably weird to me, but that's okay because not everybody's the same, right? So he was, I'm not gonna like go into the whole scoop, but he was a famous, when was he born? The Telltale Heart was published in 1843. I forget when he was born. I wrote it down. See, I'm so organized. Anywho, his dad left the family when he was young. His mom had tuberculosis and died, and then he got adopted by this family with the last name Allen. Actually, he didn't ever get adopted. It was kind of like foster care, you know? So it kind of haunted him forever. Woo. So that wasn't very fun. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here so that it's not too hot. All right, so this looks pretty good. See how runny it is? Oh, actually, you probably can't see because it's kind of hot. All right, so I'm gonna pour it in here. Let's see how well I do with this, you guys. All right, this is one of those things you can put. All right, I've never tried this before. Like I said, I always think it's more fun to take a chance. All right, but then trying to get this out, I have no idea because it's hard to hold it and get it into a bag. I mean, I suppose, ow, I suppose we could be better and buy those little, are they called piping bags? It's pretty hot. So let's see how this works out. All right, so I guess you guys are gonna have to decide if you want to hear the story of the Telltale Heart. Is there anyone that hasn't heard it? Because I think it'd be pretty fun. All right, so then I guess you close it. All right, how am I doing so far? Okay, I'm not gonna touch them. But then again, I'm the only one eating them, so who cares, right? All right, and then you need scissors, and I don't know how big a hole to cut. We'll start with this. And then we'll just, oh, it's hot. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Whoa, okay. Maybe this will work. Some of the lines are too blobby, too big. I think I cut the hole too big, but this is really kind of interesting. All right, well, we'll see. I don't know if you're supposed to go all the way around it, so we'll try that, I guess. Then it says to let them sit. Okay, I'm just blobbing. These are just gonna look like vanilla marshmallows. They're just gonna rip. All right. It looked like to me that they made them flatter. It's a really cool idea. Now I know that you got to cut the hole smaller. These are not turning out like they're supposed to, like at all. You know what you'd say if you saw these? Oh, a marshmallow on a stick. These are not turning out like they're supposed to at all. All right, well, this one might sort of get a little bit close. And then I gotta put the eyeballs on them. Ow. All right, so this is obviously something I need practice with. Why is it? I didn't think I cut that tube that high. I mean, the hole. I'm just trying to make lines across it. You know, whatever, trial and error. You know, what's nice about this silicone pad, though, is that uh, it catches all the stuff and then it's easily wiped off and then you can reuse it. So I guess I'm gonna set this aside and grab a napkin. Okay, and then we're gonna stick the little eyeballs on there because I'm fancy. So I'm just gonna stick little marshmallow eyeballs. I feel like my hands are so big all the time. This doesn't. I guess it's fine. I don't know. I'll get any comments, so hope you guys like it. I suppose they're fine. I mean, like for my first time, right? Who really cares? All right, so I'll show you what these look like when they're done. Oh wait, I was gonna put regular little googly eyes. These are not edible, so you'd have to take them off. Oops. All right, there's one. Take them off before you ate them. Okay, so they disappeared on me. Where'd they go? So it's better to put the little chocolate eyeballs on there, but they have edible. They do have edible eyeballs. Okay, so I'm gonna move this up, and I'm gonna tell you the story of the Telltale Heart, and then we'll be done. Like a fun little evening, don't you think? How many minutes we've been going so far? Ooh, 12 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna turn the light off, and I'm gonna sit on the counter because I feel like you're really far away from me. So then I gotta. I was gonna turn my lights on here. Oh, check it out. What a distraction. Okay, so the Telltale Heart. Like I said, if you're not an Edgar Allen Poe fan, you should be because he's a master of the macabre. And this is a kind of cool story, okay? It's basically, I'm just going to kind of break it down, summarize it, use some of the story. I have a whole big book of his work. But this is like fun stuff you could do if your kids aren't too young where it's going to terrify them. You know, you could make stuff and then tell scary stories. You can look up scary stories online. Next week, I thought about doing a review of the Halloween movie, the first one, and like talk about it. Spoiler alert, but it's from the 70s. So if you haven't seen it, then whatever. But here's the Telltale Heart. Okay, you ready? All right, so there's a guy and he's crazy and he talks about his disease. And I think the disease might mean alcoholism because Edgar Allan Poe was an alcoholic and I think he died from consumption. And a lot of his stories, he also suffered from migraine headaches and was prescribed opium. So they think a lot of his stories came from that time when he was totally messed up on drugs. Okay, so I'm gonna put it. Let's see if I have up my banners here. Oh, I didn't show this yet. Kandorwithkaty. We made the marshmallows, and that's the recipe that I got right there. Oh, okay. This is when he was born. He was born in 1809. I run out of time because I have lots to do. So I've got the comments on if you guys want to make any comments. But okay. So this was published in 1843. Like I said, he was wackadoo, technical term. Most of his success, like all of the major success, was posthumously. So that means after he died. So I always think about that. Like, is anybody ever going to say anything about me after I'm gone? And you know, it's weird, right? Okay, but he's got master of the macabre. Like he was like the first guy. Like, I mean, it's very, very intense. Okay, so the very first paragraph, and then I'm going to paraphrase. Okay, true, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been an M, but why will you say that I am mad? This disease has sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute, so very sharp. I heard all things in heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. Okay, so he's nuts. So he says it's impossible to say how this idea first entered his mind. He had no object. He loved this old man. He had never done any wrong to him, never insulted him. And there's a lot of his stories when I used to teach English that kind of tied together. So like from like the Cask of Amontillado, um, it's Montresor and I forget. But the guy is so upset with the fact that he insulted him that he wants revenge. Okay. So he says he never did that to him. And he says, I think it was his eye. He had this eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. And whenever it fell upon him, it made his blood run cold. Okay. So very gradually, he made up his mind to take the life of the old man. And so then he says, oh, at this point, you might think I'm mad. You fancy me mad. Mad, no, nothing. But you should have seen me. I was so cautious. I was so wise. And I had a lot of foresight and I had no false pretenses. Every night, I was never kinder to the old man than the week before I killed him. Okay, so this is like imagine him sitting in a interrogation room or something, right? Okay, so he said, "Oh, you would laugh to see how cunningly I used to thrust my head. I had a lantern, and I wanted to spy on him every night because his eye drove me crazy, crazy. This old man sleeping in his bed. Okay, so it would take him a whole hour to place his head within the opening so that he can see him laying in his bed, this old man. And then he would say, would a madman been so wise as this? I don't think so. Okay. And then he undid a lantern. He had a lantern. He undid it so cautiously that it set just a piercing light that went to the guy's eyeball or his face or whatever it is. Okay. Well, it fell upon the vulture eyes. Okay. And he said it was always closed. And that drove him crazy. And he said, it wasn't the old man that disturbed me, it was the eye. Okay. So he said, you see, I would have been a very profound old man indeed. He would have been to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked upon him when he slept. So he went in there every night at midnight. And upon the 8th night, he was more cautious than ever. Okay. And he said he had his head in and he was about to open the lantern when his thumb slipped and it made a noise. And the old man sat up. Oh, I have some pictures here. I forgot to show you. What? Hang on a sec. This thing is not wanting to move for me. All right, so here's Edgar Allan Poe, by the way. Not the best looking dude in the world. Here is the Telltale Heart, and you can see how he's dismembered the body down there. What? Okay, and this is the old man sitting up in the middle of the night. Okay, and you see that very, very thin stream. And I don't think you can see this, but this is hearts and blood coming down the microphone onto his eye. But it seems that the man is blind. Okay, so he wouldn't be able to see that on his eye, but with his other eye, he could. Okay, so he said, I kept quiet for a whole. The man cried out, "Who's there?" And he said, I kept quiet for a whole hour and I didn't move, but I didn't hear him lie down either. And he could hear the death watches in the wall, which is a bug. It's disgusting. So they like go into like old timber and old buildings and stuff. Okay. So then he heard a slight groan and he knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was a low stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe, which also is in the Cask of Amontillado. Okay. So many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, he said he knew this sound well because it has welled up from his own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo, the terrors that distracted me. So he's like, all right, I know this sound. This guy's screaming in terror. Well, I have that too. Okay. So he pitied him, but he knew that he had been lying awake since that first noise when he had turned in the bed. And he knew that this old man was saying to himself, it's nothing but the wind. It's the wind in the chimney. And then he said, all in vain, because death in approaching him had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. So the victim didn't know he was about to die. Okay. So he waited a long time and he resolved to open very, very so slightly the lantern because he thought maybe he's laying down. And a single dim ray, like a thread of a spider, shot out and it fell upon the vulture eye. Okay. It was open. It was wide open, like the picture I just showed you. Okay. So here he is. He's been sitting up for how long? Boom. Okay. All dull blue with hideous veil over it, and it chilled my very marrow in my bones. I've not told you what you mistake for madness, but is over acute of the senses. So he's just saying, hey, I'm just a perceptive dude. And then he heard a low, dull, quick sound like a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. These are the death watches in the wall. Okay. But then he thinks it's the beating of the old man's heart. So then he scarcely breathed. He held the lantern motionless, and then he thought, this old man's terror must have been extreme. And he was just thrilled by it. Okay. And but then he kept hearing the old man's heart, and it was beating louder and louder and louder. And then he had anxiety. And then with a loud yell, suddenly he threw open the door, threw the lantern down, threw himself onto the bed, or dragged the man onto the floor, and threw the mattress on top of him. And he waited. And then he knew he was dead. He was stone dead. So then he says, if you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. So do you know what he did? He dismembered the body. Disgusting. And he put him in the floorboards in the very same room the man slept in. I don't know how he cleaned up the blood or anything, okay? But he said when he was done, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dark as midnight. And then suddenly, the doorbell rang. It came a knocking. Okay? It was 2 police officers. And they said, hey, a neighbor told me that we heard a shriek in the vicinity. What's going on? And he said, oh, that was just me. It was me having bad dreams, basically. Okay. So he said, oh, the old man was gone. And he went out to the country for the weekend. Oh, I finally have a comment. Let's see what it is. Well, it's the country for the weekend. Oh, Natalie, hello. Oh, Brian. Okay. Mallows, love it. Love the necklace more. Yes. And then Natalie says, hello. Yeah, I'm just doing a silly little one tonight. I'm almost done. Okay, so he said, come and search the house. Search as much as you want. There is nothing to hide. And then he said, I'm going to put them in this room where I killed this guy. I'm so confident that they're not going to catch me. And he dragged in 2 chairs, okay, from another room, and he sat them down, and they were talking, and he was very confident. And the officers were satisfied. He said my manner had convinced them I was at ease, and I answered cheerfully. And then he heard a ringing in his ears. And they still sat still and chatted. They were just not paying attention at all. And the ringing became more distinct, and he kept hearing it louder and louder. And then he said, this noise is not within my ears, to himself. He grew very pale, and he talked more and more and more fluently with a heightened voice. Sound increased. What could he do? He kept hearing the death watches, which he said sounds like a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. And the officers heard it not. He talked more quickly. He argued about trifles in high key with violent gesticulations. But the noise kept increasing, and he swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated upon the boards, but the noise arose over all, and he kept hearing this beating heart louder and louder and louder. And still, those officers sat there and chatted pleasantly and smiled. And he said, they knew, they suspected, they're mocking me. Okay, so he said, oh, anything was better than this agony. Anything was more than this terrible ridicule. And he couldn't bear it anymore, so he yelled, villains, I shriek, disassemble no more. I admit the deed, tear up the planks. Here is the beating of his hideous heart. So that was just a fun little story. It's fun to do that. If you're a teacher, it's really, really fun to take apart Edgar Allan Poe. Probably not elementary school, but junior high, high school. And then let's see how the mummies look. They're not quite as cool as they should be. They're not that great. This one looks a little better. Oops, but he's stuck to the thing. So I need to cut the. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it off of here. I need to cut the hole smaller, I think. Maybe you'll see these better now. Oh, and they're just dripping. So anywho, try your hand at it and show me one that's better than this, because these are terrible. Have a great night, guys. I'm going to eat this now. Peace and love.